Hey everyone, my name is David from 52 Churches in 52 Weeks. Wanted to make a really quick video just due to the significance on church history. So if you're Catholic or Protestant, you may not be aware of this, but as I record this, we're less than 24 hours removed from a major announcement that has completely shifted the landscape among Latter-day Saint churches. So yesterday was Tuesday, March 5th, 2024. There's a joint announcement made by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints based in Utah and Community of Christ, who announced the sale and transfer of the historic Kirtland Temple, along with other historical buildings and artifacts, transferring from the Community of Christ to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. From a church history perspective, this is monumental. And for myself as an outsider looking in, someone who has never been a member of any restoration church or branch or anything like that, even I'm here just stunned 24 hours or so later at what this means moving forward for the Latter-day Saint movement. If you're not familiar with Latter-day Saint history, like I wasn't, but a little bit more than a year ago, my understanding with the Kirtland Temple, this was the very first temple that was built by Latter-day Saint pioneers. So Joseph Smith, he established the Church of Christ with the Book of Mormon in about 1830. And, he was the president, he was the prophet, he was a seer, he was a revelator, getting these revelations and visions from God. So they moved to Kirtland, Ohio, just outside Cleveland. And he had this vision that the Latter-day Saints had to build their very first temple, which they did. And it sounds like, and this was in the infancy of the movement. So the Kirtland Temple was completed, I want to say 1836 or 1837. If you got the correct year, let me know below in the comments. But this was huge at that time. Well, due to the various persecutions and everything that was going on, several of the Latter-day Saints had to move out and went out to Nauvoo, Illinois. But the Kirtland Temple remained, and the ownership kind of juggled for a number of years until it finally landed in the lap of the reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is now known as the Community of Christ. And the Community of Christ has maintained, they have taken care of the Kirtland Temple for over a century now. And for a very long time, and I've done another Community of Christ video when I made a church visit to the Stone Church. And unfortunately, I learned a number of issues that they were having with burdens with finances at that visit. And the Kirtland Temple was always considered to be priceless until yesterday. So yesterday, I'm friends on Facebook with a gentleman named John Hychak. He's a respected Latter-day Saint historian and especially a collector. And I understand he's a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints with the Stringite Church. Well, he announced on Facebook that the Kirtland Temple had been sold. And just due to his connections and just due to the respect he has among many scholars and historians, this was mind-blowing. And when I first saw the post, there's a part of me that was like, this has to be real, but what evidence do you have? And a number of people were asking him the same thing. So John immediately got on an interview with Mormon Book Reviews with my good friend Steve Peinecker to talk about this as he's recording from the Independence, Missouri Community of Christ Temple. And John kind of described how he had put in with other investors a $100 million offer for the Kirtland Temple, even though he estimated it would probably be around over $200 million for what it was. But the question remained, if he didn't buy it, then who did? There was a lot of early speculation that it has to be the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Who else could it be? Who else would have a stake? Who else would have the money and the funds and the resources to buy such a historical property? I would say maybe about 30 minutes or so after the interview dropped on Mormon Book Reviews, the joint statement came out from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the Community of Christ that confirmed the sale of the Kirtland Temple with the transfer. And immediately things just blew up online. And I think there was a big concern, even myself included, because as I've gone to different restoration branches, there is this kind of this respect and this lore and this aura that, with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints based in Utah, with all the resources and the finances and what they have, it's like they still can't get the Kirtland Temple or the Temple lot, because and I think as an outsider for myself, like it's gained a lot of respect for myself, because with some of these organizations and some of these Latter-day Saint restoration branches, they are so convicted in their faith that they will not part with historical landmarks, no matter the dollar sign on it. And I remember in Independence, Missouri, with the Church of Christ, the Temple Lot Church, like their ownership within the restoration is just based off this plot of land, the Temple Lot, with the Latter-day Saint theology that Jesus Christ will return at this plot of land. And even though they're just so small for their attendance compared to other Latter-day Saint churches, they will not give it up because they are that staked in their beliefs of what this represents. So to see the Kirtland Temple sell yesterday, from what it sounds like, for $192.5 million, with other artifacts and buildings included in that, it's weird to see such a historical landmark sold. And with the Community of Christ, I guess it's no secret at this point that they've had a number of financial burdens, and that's not true just for them, but for other larger type of denominations with all these bigger church buildings who have to have overhead expenses covered with these older church buildings. And then you add in pensions and all types of staffing and salary type of things that you need to pay for as church attendance is going down. You have to find some creative ways, and you need to find some other ways to develop cash flow to pay some of these expenses. So for this to happen, again, I'm still wrestling with this, just stunned because this is the very first time the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Utah has owned the Kirtland Temple. And there's a little, I wouldn't call it fear, but trepidation that what's going to happen with the Kirtland Temple. I understand from the statement that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints will keep this as a historical building. And for myself as an outsider who has developed a genuine appreciation and a deep respect within Latter-day Saint history, I hope that this building with the Kirtland Temple does remain as a place where other people can learn about Joseph Smith, about the history, about the movement. Because when I've made my own temple open house visits, it's developed a much more appreciation. So if they have this temple open 24/7 year round, well, I wouldn't say 24/7, but year round for visitors to understand the significance of what this building represents, especially with Joseph Smith, I hope they maintain that. And from the other type of visitor centers that I've gone to for LDS, I've been blown away at just the amount of the care that they take with their buildings and the respect that they give to those that came before. So what they do with the Kirtland Temple moving forward, I'm very curious to see what happens next. For myself as an outsider, when I was doing the 52 churches in 52 weeks before, if there was any church visit that I could have taken back, it was week 25 when I visited the Community of Christ Stone Church in Independence, Missouri. Because heading in, I was so curious about the Latter-day Saints, because I had gone to the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. I was having spiritual coincidences at that time. And at the same point, I was blown away at the LDS follow-up through its missionaries. Because from my Protestant background and my evangelical background, if I'd go to a church, it was just very surface level, you know? And if you go to these churches as a first timer, the evangelical churches, typically, like, you can go up to a welcome desk. They'll give you this bag of goodies, like coffee mugs and pens and just various items, all in exchange for your email address. So for instance, I recently made a video about Crossroads Church in Cincinnati, Ohio. They had all this controversy about kicking the Bible as part of a sermon skit. And I went up to their visitor center, gave them my email address, got this bag with a coffee mug and everything. And, you know, I'm hoping for some type of response. This is kind of one of my, experiments within my spiritual experiment. And it took them 10 days to send me an email back to say, hey, thanks for coming. And I noticed just so many other churches, it just takes forever to get back to you, even just with a simple email. And with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, with the missionary component, they had sisters, they had elders, and they would get back with you right away and form relationships. So you had this in, you had someone to be with. There was so much relationship building as opposed to the surface level going on right now in many Protestant circles. In Catholic circles, it's all about the Eucharist. It's very hard to connect in the Catholic Church. So when I went to the Community of Christ, a different type of Book of Mormon believing church, not to anywhere towards the extent of LDS, but Community of Christ, I was very excited to do that visit. And instead, I walked into a church service that wasn't even really a church service. They opened with a hymn, and then it was more of a church meeting. And I didn't know that walking in. And I posted that video. And, at the time when I posted that, my channel had maybe 1,000 subscribers. I was expecting, hey, maybe 1,000 people, maybe 2,000 people will watch this video tops. And instead, that blew up. And as a result, a number of members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints commented about it because this was their first look inside a different type of Book of Mormon believing church. And what I remember from many comments was just the respect that they had. I kept hearing the term Christian cousin towards those with Community of Christ, even though I talked about the burdens and the struggles the church was going through. But there was other comments, and I don't remember many, that kind of criticized, saying that, oh, this is just Community of Christ, this shows them for moving in a direction not like theirs. And there are a few members from the Community of Christ that reached out, especially like for my own channel. I hate ad hominem attacks, and I had a few comments that, hey, you're a reporter, you shouldn't be doing what you did. And, that hit, because I don't want to create controversy. I want to build people up, and especially churches. At the same point, I need to talk about churches and what's the reality that many churches are facing right now after COVID, after the pandemic. Where do we go from here? Anyway, at the conclusion of that church service, we sang a hymn written by Fanny Crosby, and I ended the video with this. So, now in this moment, now in this day, God is creating and leading the way. Life is behind us, life is before. We write the story not heard before. Past, present, hope, joy, sorrow, hope. We write the story, and life is its scope. God's love assures us through the unknown. God's grace sustains us. We're not alone. This is our story. This is our song, praising our Savior all the day long. This is our story. This is our song, praising our Savior all the day long. So with this announcement, after I made that Community of Christ church visit, I saw this suffering going on, but I also had this deep appreciation and respect for the rich heritage and the rich history that it represents. So with the Kirtland Temple being sold in this announcement, I'm just hoping that members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints like there's excitement going on, but I hope there's also this sympathy and this empathy for members of the community of Christ, because they've been caretaking for the Kirtland Temple and these other historical buildings and artifacts. And the fact that these even still remain is all due to thanks for the community of Christ and all those people that have played a part in that. With that visit, I remember I talked a little bit about going through like a breakup or a divorce or losing a job. There's all these emotions at play. And, you know, if you go through a breakup, they often talk about the stages of grief. So first you may have denial, then you go through anger, then you go through bargaining, like you're bargaining for the other person, hey, get back with me. Then you may go through depression, and then finally there's this acceptance. That's the stages of grief, but it never goes in that direct order, because it's always this huge tornado of emotions going on, because some days you may be depressed, other days you may finally feel like you accept it, but then something will rise up, and then with your emotions, you'll stir it, and then you'll go straight back into anger. And I think for members of the community of Christ, with this news, there is a little bit of that emotion going on. And even when I made my video, there was a lot of those emotions pouring out in some of the comments and some of the conversation with me after that video. So I'm hoping that members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, there's a lot of excitement right now with this purchase, but I want to give a real quick warning, because with the community of Christ, these are fantastic people. And even after that video, I felt terrible about that. I developed so many great friendships with members of the community of Christ, and I can't say enough good things about this church denomination, even if there's just a wide range and a wide difference in theological type of beliefs. So just something to think about with this sale. Hope you enjoyed this video, especially with this huge moment in church history. I'll have a few videos coming up, especially with the Forest Dale Chapel. This is a chapel with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints based in Salt Lake City. I'll have a video on that coming up. But as always, if you like to support the channel, make sure to like and subscribe to stay tuned for more. But until next time, hope you have a good one.